Herpia Kebele is located in Adamitulo Jedo Kombolcha Warada, 180 kilometers distance from Addis Ababa in the southeastern part of the country, Oromia Region. Ayantu was born and grew up in this vicinity. This community, residing in Herpia Kebele, suffered from acute scarcity of potable water supply for over 26 years. The community's quality of life had been seriously compromised due to the absence of water for consumption, food preparation, household sanitation, and environmental hygiene. This problem was further exacerbated by the drought emergency that occurred in 2016 due to the worst El Niño factor in the 50-year history of the country.
As much as we can, we try to come up with integrated program interventions because during emergency periods, the most affected part of the community are children, women, and for our nutrition programs as well, it's mostly pregnant and lactating women and the elderly. So most of our emergency response try to minimize the adverse impact of emergency on this most vulnerable segment of the community, and also try to protect the gains we achieved through our development programs.
Ayantu, like any other members of the community, has experienced the severe pain and suffering of the wash problem since her earliest childhood age. Ayantu used to travel long distances every day to fetch water for the household. This household chore had been the sole responsibility of Ayantu for years. This story works for all children in Herpia Kebele. Similar to Ayantu, every child had been imposed by the community to shoulder the responsibility of fetching and transporting water from the remote location where the water source was available.
Bishaan baay'ee nu rakkisaa akka ture hana bishaan asii fagoo kun asii gaara kana keessa ol deemaa fagoo sa'aatii obboroo subii baatiin gara sa'aatii 6-8 galla achi kazaan dammoo galleellee barumsa kennallee dhaqqabannu barumsa kennallee dadhabbii kanaaf kan ta'e barumsa kennarraallee hafne bishaan ammoo asin nu banamee jira.
Straight away after returning from school at 3 p.m., Ayantu used to fetch water and support her elderly mom with other household chores until she slept for the night. After a long distance travel on foot, Ayantu accessed an unprotected water source shared by livestock and human residents in common. The pond, which was used as the source of water supply, is highly contaminated with dirt substances that clearly manifested in the color and odor of the water. Difficult to imagine using such poor quality water for household consumption. Traveling for long distances to fetch water exposes girls to gender-based violence and seriously affects their educational performance. Besides, members of the community got easily infected with waterborne diseases, and, in turn, the rate of morbidity and mortality increased among the residents. Since 3 months ago, however, there has been a significant change in the life of Ayantu. The community used to access a clean water supply from a water scheme that functioned with wind power until it was damaged in 1991. Since then, the water point had never been functional at all. The community counted 26 years to regain a clean water supply from this water point. In response to this problem, which had been aggravated by the drought emergency, ChildFund Ethiopia rehabilitated the damaged water scheme and handed it over to the community under the WASH Committee leadership. The water point is currently owned and properly managed by the community to give longer service assisted by trained technicians and operators under the leadership of the WASH Committee.
Ganama saati kudha lama baana saati ja'a yookaan 8tti galla. Waan inni gargaaree amma qilleessaa suniin jeneetara nu jijjiirame waan inni gargaaree amma kun waan haa ulfaatu amma kun roottoo adii kanatti nu bu'a uummata illee akkasitti geeggessaa jira hin gurgurraa uummanni amma kun galatoonfataa waa galatoonfataa ilfataa gammadaa amma immoo gammadee namni kun asitti sa'a namnis simbirris lukkuunis kamiyyuu hundi isaatu gammadee as keessa deemaa amma yeroo ammaa kana itti fayyadamaa jirra kuno.
ይህ ፕሮጀክት ሶስት ዋና ዋና ተግባሮች ነበሩት። ውሃ ማቅረብ፣ በውሃ ማቅረብ ስራ ውስጥ የተሰሩ ስራዎች የግንባታ ስራዎች አሉ፣ የጥገና ስራዎች አሉ እና የአቅም ግንባታ ውሃው በዘላቂነት ህዝቡ እንዲጠቀም የውሃ ኮሚቴ በማቋቋም በማሰልጠንና እንዴት ውሃውን ደግሞ ጠግኖ ለረጅም ጊዜ ለዘላቂ ጥቅም እንዲያውሉ ለማድረግ ትለናል ማለት ነው።
Now, children are not traveling long distances anymore to fetch water, since they are able to access clean water in the nearby locality. They are saved from gender-based violence and feel their well-being is highly protected. They get sufficient time to study and improve their educational performance. The overall health situation is improving day after day in the community.
Shan sana mo midan sanu ragai ajirti. Jolle daima ramon abde ahmo ko gesana ramo bishanete. Gurda ramo garan eta ajira mali oganne teruda bishan kana ramidan sana ragese jajir.
Amma gasin nu baname jira barumsa keenya illee siraataan baratarra sa'aatiin illee nu rolfaan jiru amma bishaan asin nu baname siraataan dhaqaarra barumsa keenya illee siraataan qo'atarra illee.
Similar to Gallo Herpia Kebele, various emergency wash projects were carried out, including rehabilitated water schemes, newly constructed and rehabilitated boreholes, public fountains, and cattle troughs in Boset, Adama, and Fentali districts, thereby largely benefiting dwellers of the locality.
ውሃ በማጣት ብዙ ቀበሌዎች እና አካባቢ ያሉ ሰዎች ለከብቶቻቸው ውሃን ለማግኘት ብዙ ግጭት ነበረ። አሁን የውሃ ገንዳ ለከብት ስንሰራላቸው ድሮ ይጣሉ የነበሩት ሰላም ለማውረድ ችሏል ማለት ነው።
This health center is providing a range of healthcare services to the dwellers of Gallo Herpia Kebele. Despite this fact, it was unable to deliver the desired quality of service because of the absence of a clean and stable water supply. Hygiene and sanitation of the clinical environment had been seriously affected by the scarcity of water. The facility used to get water supply from roof harvesting during the rainy season. The water harvested from the roof is stored in the tankers prepared for this cause, yet providing service for only about 2 months.
ከዚህ በፊት ከ10 ኪሎ ሜትር ያላነሰ እየሄድን ነው በአህያ እየተጭነው የሚመጣልን። አሁን ይሄ ውሃ ከገባልን አሁን አሪፍ ነው። ለምን በፊት ወላዶችና በብዙ እንትን ስለ በብዛት ስንቸገር ነበር። አሁን ይሄ ከገባልን ብዙ ችግሮች ተቃለዋል።
Using the water supply scheme rehabilitated, the health center has started providing better quality healthcare services to patients. The internal and external environment of the facility is better protected from infection. This small vicinity is situated in Metahara Fentali Warada, the place where the Gara Dima water supply scheme was rehabilitated by ChildFund Emergency Wash Project. The lives of children, women, and the general community here is entirely dependent on this river. The river was considered as the lifeline of the community, as it served as the sole source of water for consumption, hygiene, and sanitation in general. After the rehabilitation of Garadima water supply scheme by ChildFund, members of the community have started to enjoy clean water for free.
Akka mataa kiyyatti illee akka gandatti illee wanti natti dhagamu haa bishaan qulqulluu kana nu baaftanii jiruu duraan irra kurne irraa fooyyeyne har'a sadarkaa kana geenye galatoomaan jaan akka mataa kiyyatti illee akka biyyatti illee
ChildFund በአሁኑ ኢመርጀንሲ ነው ብዬካለሁ። ኢመርጀንሲ የሆኑ ወረዳዎች በጣም በብዙ ችግር ላይ ያለፉ ወረዳዎች ናቸው። እነዚህ አራቶቹ ካሉን ከዞን ወረዳዎች በተለየ ማለት ነው። በዛ አካባቢ ላይ መንግስት ሊደርስባቸው ያልቻሉ እንደውም ደግሞ አፋጣኝ ምላሽ የሚፈልጉ የነበሩ ወረዳዎች ላይ ተጨባጭ የሆነ ስራ ገብቶ እየሰራልን ያለበት ሁኔታ እና ብዙ ጋፖችን እየዘጋልን ያለ ከመንግስት ጋር አጋር ድርጅት ሆኖ እየሰራ ያለ ድርጅት ነው።
ChildFund እየሰራ ያለው እንደ ውሃ እየሰራ ያለበት አካባቢ እንኳን አራት ወረዳ ቀርቶ አንድ ወረዳ መስራትም የሚከብድ አካባቢ ነው። ውሃዎቹ ንጹህ አይደሉም፣ በፍሎራይድ የተበከሉ ናቸው። እነዚህን ፍሎራይድ መበከል የተበከሉ ፍሎራይዶች አጽድቶ ንጹህ ውሃ መስጠት ቀላል ነገር አይደለም። በቃ ኢስ ፉል ኦፍ ሃርድሺፕ። ይህንን ተወጥቶ በአራት ወረዳዎች እየሰራ ያለው አዲስ ያለማው የውሃ ፕሮጀክቶች የጠገናቸው ፕሮጀክቶች በአጭር ጊዜ እድሜው ከፍተኛ ውጤት ያስመዘገቡ ናቸው። እንደ መስሪያ ቤት ደረጃችን ላይ ያለን ከፍተኛ ደረጃ እያስመዘገቡት ውስጥ የሚገኝና ጥሩ አስተዋጽኦ ያበረከታል ተብሎ የሚጠበቅ ድርጅት ነው ብዬ ነው የማምነው።
Whenever the water starts to flow down from the pipe, children begin to immerse in deep pleasure and laughter, feeling spectacular with the experience of accessing clean and safe water in their nearby locality for the first time.
Child Wellbeing in Emergency project designed for preventing and advancing the child well-being issue in emergency. It has three major objectives: community mobilization, strengthening psychosocial support, and strengthening case management service. The project was implemented in Oromia, Fantale and Siraro, and SNNEPR, Kochar and Wanago.
The intervention focuses on improving the well-being of children with attention to strengthening community-based child protection mechanisms to respond to cases of neglect, abuse, and exploitation in the emergency context, and strengthen community-based psychosocial support interventions. In order to improve the well-being of children in the target worridas, the project employed various implementation strategies by bringing the community to the forefront. Community empowerment was a key strategy used to achieve the objectives of the project. A total of 60 child-friendly spaces have been created by the Child Wellbeing in Emergency Project in consultation with local governments. These child-friendly spaces are serving as excellent platforms in bringing together children of similar age groups to grow closer to each other and spend their golden childhood age playing friendly games, improving their communication, and boosting their confidence. Children of similar age groups are grouped together and provided with friendly services that comply with their interests.
ልጆች በሚጫወቱበት ሰዓት ከጨዋታ ራሳቸውን የሚያገሉ ልጆች አሉ። እነሱንም ልጆች ደግሞ ወደዛ ወደ ጨዋታ ፕሮግራም እንዲመጡ ራሳቸውን እንዳያገሉና ከነዚህ ልጆች ጋር ተጫውተው ወደ ተሻለ የስነ ልቦና ይዘት ደረጃ እንዲመጡ የምናደርግበት ሂደት አለ።
በድርቁ የተጠቁ ህፃናቶች ተለይተው እንደዚህ አይነት ስፍራ ላይ የስነ ልቦና ድጋፍ ሲደረግላቸው ነበር ላለፉት 9 ወራት። በዚህም ወደ 3000 ህፃናት ጋር ለመድረስ ችለናል እና ውጤታማ ነበርን ለማለት እፈልጋለሁ።
In addition, child-friendly spaces serve as an excellent platform where elderly men and women with rich experience of parenting come together with children to nurture them to be responsible citizens through telling interesting tales and stories that suit to their context.
Boota argame laddama kanatti bootaan argame asuma jira haga ijaaranii fi asitti barataatti ijoollee urgee kana eeyyamaan kennine engorsina tamaara baradhaa jenne barnoonni mishaa jenne haa barattuuf gadi dhiisaa irraan barsiisaa jirra gorsaa jirra.
With this intervention, alienated, depressed, disabled, and post-traumatic disorder children have benefited a lot. These children with physical, mental, and psychological problems have been identified and coached with psychosocial support to join their peer groups and get relief and pleasure from it. This intervention is facilitated by social workers and volunteer youth.
አሁን ለውጥ አለ። የአካል ጉዳተኛ ለውጥ አለ። ወደ ህፃናቶችም እየቀረበ አይጫወትም ነበር። አሁን እኛ እያሳቀን እያስደሰተን ስንጠራ እየመጣ ከልጆች ሲጫወቱ ልጆችን እያየ ይጫወታል። ደስ ይላል። ይመጣል። የተሻለ ለውጥ አይተናል።
ከዚህ በፊት ይህንን ትምህርት አይነበረም። ይህን ንጽህና ከተመለከተ ትምህርት ፊደል መቆጠር ልጆችን ብዙ ችግር ያላቸውን አካል ጉዳተኞችን ይህንን እድል አግኝተው ብዙ ትምህርት ተምረዋል። እናም ግን ብዙ ግንዛቤ ወስደናል።
In the Kebeles, where the Child Wellbeing in Emergency Project was implemented, community conversation was held on a weekly basis. Participants of the community conversation discussed topics pertinent to child well-being and other key community concerns, including reproductive health, child marriage, and harmful traditional practices, and ethics for child rearing, education, HIV/AIDS, and others. The discussion is held among youth, mothers, elderly men, and children independently led by the social workers.
ያለድሜ ጋብቻ የምንለው ምን አይነት ኢፌክቶች አሉት ምን አይነት ተጽዕኖችን ያደርሳል በአካባቢያችን በእኛ በራሳችን ላይ በእኛ ላይ ምን አይነት ተጽዕኖችን ያደርሳል ብለን ነው የምንወያየው ቤተሰብ 10ኛ ክፍል የጨረሰችው ልጅ አንቺ ሄደሽ አግቢ ውጤት ካልመጣላት ሄደሽ አግቢና ቤትሽን መስርቺ ትዳርሽን መስርቺና እኛንም አስደስቺ ብለው በቤተሰብ ግፊት ታደርጋለች
ሴቶች እንደዛ ያለ እድል አግኝተው አቁም ለልጆች እንደዛ ያለ ትምህርት ተሰጥቶ አያውቅም። አሁን ለወደፊትም ትምህርት ቢቀጥልና ሴቶቹም እንደዚህ ራሳቸውን ግንዛቤ የሚወስዱበትን ደረጃ ቢደርሱ ጥሩ ነው ብዬ ነው የምገምተው።
At the end, all community conversation groups come together and form a general assembly to further deliberate on the basic discussion outputs generated by each community conversation group. Session 8 of the Community Conversation Manual focuses on question and answer. Questions will be presented where participants respond based accordingly on the knowledge they acquired from the last 7 community conversation sessions. The participants who give correct answers will be recognized and awarded to create a sense of motivation among the general participants.
ወጣት መቅደስ የህፃናት ደህንነት እንክብካቤ ማለት ምን ማለት ነው?
አካላዊ ደህንነታቸውን የአእምሮአዊ ደህንነታቸውን እንዲሁም ነግሌት የምንለው አለ። ሌላም ህፃናትን በንጽህና መንከባከብ፣ ሌላ ደግሞ ወደ ትምህርት ቤት በሚሄዱበት ጊዜ ክትትል በማድረግ እነዚህን ነገሮች በማድረግ ህፃናትን መንከባከብ ይቻላል።
Parental skill training is an important platform where mothers come together on a monthly basis to learn about scientifically recommended parental approaches. Parental skill training is delivered by social workers and health officers in which mothers acquire knowledge and skill on how to be able to properly nurture children, maintaining their general well-being in education, health, social activities, and psychology, and other areas directly relevant to children.
ይህም ስልጠና የሚሰጠው በተለያዩ ርዕሶች ዙሪያ ነው። አንደኛ በልጅ አስተዳደግ ዙሪያ፣ በልጅ አመጋገብ ዙሪያ፣ በፋሚሊ ፕላኒንግ፣ በተለያዩ በቃ ልጆችን የተሻለ አስተዳደግ እንዲኖራቸው ማስቻል ነው።
Peer-to-peer education is also another mode of the project intervention carried out with a mentor and mentee approach by organizing peers with 1 to 5 networks.
ChildFund per educator አቻ ትምህርት ላይ ብዙ ስልጠና ተሰጥቶ ነበረ። የተሰጠን ስልጠና ስለ ህፃናት ጉልበት ብዝበዛና ስለ ጾታዊ ጥቃት እና ስለ ልቦናዊ ጥቃት በሚለው ተምረን ነበረ። ከዛ ስልጠና ወስተን ከመጣን በኋላ ተማሪዎችንና ጓደኞቻችን ለህብረተሰብ እናስተምራለን።
10 selected youths were provided with intensive training on child well-being and other relevant topics and deployed back to school to serve as facilitators in the 1 to 5 networks. This is the experience of Anchebe First and Second Cycle School in Gadeo Zone, Kochore, Warada.
ChildFund Ethiopia is working child-focused organization. The rationally focusing on the nutrition is that the most vulnerable groups affected by malnutrition due to drought are children under 5 and pregnant and lactating mothers. That's why we designed this project on nutrition to support children and mothers affected by nutrition.
ChildFund also supported flood-affected communities in Boset and Soraro districts with general food rations and supplementary food and internally displaced persons in Me'eson Warada who were affected by drought-induced tribal conflict with distribution of non-food items. For general food rations and supplementary food distribution, ChildFund has used its local partners operating in the emergency waradas.
Both in our development and emergency projects, sustainability is part of the program design. We make sure that sustainability factors and components are taken care of, or at least taken into consideration all the way from design stage. So to ensure sustainability of our activities, we make sure that we engage communities from the very beginning. We try to develop a sense of ownership among community members. And also we try to engage relevant government offices in terms of understanding and owning the project's major goals and interventions. But even as we phase out and close out projects, we make sure that we conduct exit workshops. And the primary purpose of exit workshops is to make sure that all stakeholders are aware of their roles and responsibilities and also commit towards the sustainability of those project activities.